Authorities in Grays Harbor County have officially confirmed that human remains were discovered on the property of a house near the town of Larkin. At the center of the investigation is a 26-year-old woman known as Nora, who, according to witnesses, lured homeless men with promises of food and shelter. Inside the riverside house, police found several freezers labeled with handmade tags and a barrel containing biological remains preserved in brine. Cannibalism has not been officially confirmed, but DNA tests matched several missing individuals. I work with an outreach team at the Harbor Safe Shelter Program in Grays Harbor County, Washington. We deliver sleeping bags, cheap medicine, and hot soup to the homeless camps along the Chehalis River and down Highway 101. Official statistics about the missing rarely mention those living under bridges. No one's waiting, no one's filing reports. But in late 2021, I noticed strange marks in our distribution log, small crosses next to the names of people who had stopped showing up. I asked why. "Those are the ones who left with that girl," our cook Dora said. "Back then, we didn't know her name. People saw her on rainy nights. Young, very thin, maybe 25, long black hair soaked and sticking to her face. Big dark eyes. Everyone who met her mentioned those eyes, how they seemed to take all the light from the nearest street lamp. She would appear out of nowhere in a beat-up dark green Subaru, bumper dented. She offered rides out of the rain. I've got a place outside town. Dry clothes, hot food, mattresses. Just for a few nights until the weather breaks." Calm, never pushy. Always the same phrase. "It's safe there, no one will wake you up or push you out." The first real account I heard came from a man called Holiday, once a construction worker, now living under the bridge after a back injury, and painkillers had ruined him. One night he came early to the kitchen, sat down, and said quietly, "If you see a girl with hair like riverweeds, don't get in the car, she takes them to Larkin." Larkin was a half-dead mill town in the woods. Holiday held up 2 fingers. 2 from my camp, 3 from the one downriver. I didn't go. She looks too close when she talks. A week later, Holiday disappeared. The police shrugged. He moved on. Without family to file a complaint, there was no case. So I started my own missing board. Names, nicknames, dates, where they were last seen, who they were with. In one camp, men whispered about the old house near Wishbone Creek. That was where she took them. The road turned to mud and pine needles, and cell service dropped to nothing within a mile. In March 2022, I saw her myself. It was pouring rain. My partner and I were handing out ointment and coffee mugs. The Subaru was parked at the edge of the camp, headlights blinding in the rain. She got out, thin, dark parka, hair dripping. Walked to our van and asked softly, "Do you have bandages? Someone's cut himself." My partner reached for the box, but I stopped him. I asked, "What shelter are you with?" She tilted her head, calculating. "I help at home. We have empty beds, warm stoves at night, hot soup." I noticed a thin scar under a strip of medical tape on her hand. She blinked less than normal, just enough to make it unnerving. I pressed, "What's the address?" She answered without hesitation. "Drive Larkin Road all the way down, then toward the water, metal roof, can't miss it." I asked her name. She smiled faintly. "Nora. For those who can't make it in the city, it's easier with us." That spring, 2 more men vanished, Wade and Jimmy. Witnesses saw them with a young woman outside the Grange Co-op, loading propane canisters and bags of salt into her Subaru. The cashier remembered her paying in cash and buying 2 rolls of heavy plastic sheeting. The sheriff's office barely noted it. Transients relocate all the time. I asked about the Wishbone property. He admitted 3 houses, 2 abandoned, 1 lived in. That one belongs to a woman. She pays taxes, no complaints. I drove there myself. The road narrowed into heavy forest. Rain drowned out my tires. Eventually, down a slope near the river, I found the house. 2 stories, rusty metal roof, screened porch. Not abandoned, not welcoming either. A faint light glowed inside like a candle, then footsteps behind me. "Lost?" she asked, standing a few yards away, hair slicked, face pale, eyes reflecting what little light there was, making them look too big for her skull. I asked about Wade and Jimmy. "People come when they're cold," she said evenly. "Some leave in the morning, some later." She invited me in. Inside, it smelled of resin and iron. The kitchen was clean, too clean. On the table, fillet knives, polished and sharp. Through the open door of a side room, I saw old chest freezers lined against the wall, each labeled with blue tape and dates. Deer, January, elk, October. Strips of drying meat hung from a rack in the corner. "You hunt?" I asked. "Winter's long out here," she answered calmly. By the porch, I noticed a rusty tin under the step. Inside, a bundle of keys, a worn baseball cap, a leather strap with a tag. "Jim." She caught me looking and simply said, "You don't have a warrant. If you're afraid, bring the sheriff. Bring the—" 2 days later, the sheriff came back with a warrant. We waited at the road. She stood on the porch, hands in her pockets, no resistance. She even led them to the freezers. Inside were bundles, neatly wrapped in butcher paper, labeled deer, salmon, dog. But in the shed out back they found a barrel, a heavy, salty brine, fragments of bone, and that sickly sweet smell of cooked flesh. That was enough. They took samples. They photographed everything. And Nora sat inside, quiet, watching them as if they were part of some ritual she'd seen before. The official language was sterile. Samples revealed thermal alteration consistent with cooking, micro-incisions consistent with fine blade. DNA profiles matched previously collected belongings of missing individuals. The newspapers softened it even more. Local woman accused of desecration of remains. No headline dared use the word cannibalism. But in the camps along the river, everyone said it out loud. They arrested her without struggle. At interrogation, she said little, except once, "Who takes them when I don't take them?" The trial began that fall. She looked younger than 26, but in court records that was her age. The defense argued trauma, isolation, survival by any means. The prosecutor held up DNA tests, receipts, the sheriff's testimony. In the shed, they had also found notebooks, short entries. Brought himself, doesn't want to leave, bad cough, sleep sound. The worst line read simply, asked if he could stay forever. She was sentenced to life without parole. On paper, that's the end. But every rainy night I drive past the river and think I see headlights paused at the tree line, a dented Subaru, and I find myself studying the faces of women with long hair, just to be sure they're ordinary, not the girl with the dark eyes. In the shelter log, the crosses have stopped, but when you scroll back 2 years, the marks are still there. Tiny notes, left with girl, got into car, said she found a warm house. Rain hides a lot in this county, but not everything disappears. Some things just sink into the ground. And if you ever follow Larkin Road past the old mill sign, remember, the road gets quieter than it should, and some houses aren't built for living.